That's,
The dawn of a new age.
Oh my god.
Check. Is this microphone even on? Allow me to adjust it here. Wow. What a weird feeling, you know, coming back to something that you've left turned what's the phrase? A blind eye on? It's not a blind eye. It's not a cold shoulder either. But wow, it has been a minute since I have been here, and since you lovely people out there have heard my strange voice. Hello everybody. Wow, this is Chase. Some of y'all know me. If you're listening to this, you probably know me, or at least know of me. This is Chase, and this is the New Age Comics Podcast. Now, it's been a while since I've been here, and needless to say, there's some elephants in the room, okay, that shall be addressed and need to be addressed. But I hope everybody that's listening to this is having a wonderful day or night or evening or whatever time of day, however the sun is oriented around the globe when you're hearing this. I hope it's good for you. And I missed you guys. Wow, it's been a while, as I've belabored at this point, but I missed coming here and talking to the mic, talking to myself, I guess. Gosh. Well, like I said, lots of elephants in the room to address, but I am back, kind of. Last y'all heard of me was me going on hiatus, a bit of an interesting thing that I decided to do. Well, I figured it was appropriate that I might come back here and just, I guess, give you guys like a life update in a way. As the like clickbait title of the episode should suggest, I've had a pretty nuts last month of my life. In fact, as I put it, it has been probably the wildest month of my life ever. And I don't say that to exaggerate. It just really has been a motherfucking time. Okay, let's just get into it. So this isn't, you know, first of all, let me get this out of the way. This is not an I'm back episode. I'm not about to just rip into some comic reviews, and I apologize. Maybe there are some of you that are frothing at the mouth, just waiting for it. I doubt there's anyone actually that excited, but I was frothing at the mouth and still am frothing at the mouth to talk about comics, but alas, I am here and I'm not talking about comics. I thought I'd just give you guys kind of a life update. It has been almost to today, exactly 1 month since my last hiatus episode. You know, I'm sure a lot of y'all either forgot about me or have been wondering, hey, what the hell is that guy up to? What has Chase been doing? Well, I'm here to tell you because, like I said, it has been a fucking climactic last month. So lots of things. I left y'all on some pretty hefty cliffhangers. If we're talking now about the like Chase New Age Comics lore, there were some pretty crazy last pages, last panels, last to be continueds from the last episode. I left a lot of things on this sort of in the air and was kind of just like, well, see you guys. It's been fun, but I need to take a break for my own mental health. And hey, as an update to that, my own mental health, if I feel, has improved over the last month here. Now, there are a lot of reasons for that I'm going to be getting into. And I've really narrowed it down to like 5 points that I'm going to be addressing here. Okay, so first of all, last time that I spoke with y'all, and I made very abundantly clear via my Twitter account and through some of my other just, you know, podcast episodes, I was in college. And yes, you heard right, that is the past tense. I was in college because I've now graduated! Wow, that's gonna clip the mic, but damn it, I'm excited. I'm sorry, but I have graduated college, and yes, it feels amazing. I almost still can't believe it. I'm recording this on a Tuesday afternoon, exactly 4 days after my commencement ceremony. It's been a surreal last 96 hours, or whatever 4 days is, and I still really can't believe it. I think it's one of those things that, and maybe some fellow college graduates out there will know what I'm talking about. I think it's one of those things I won't understand. It won't actually click with me that I've graduated college until well, deep into this current summer. It's also not, I don't think it's gonna click until next October or something like that. Cause hey, I've been in school, goddamn, since I was 5, right? Or 4, I've been in school my whole life. And, it's not gonna actually click to me until my school schedule, yearly schedule, should kick back into place, and then it won't. That's when it's really gonna feel alien and really feel like, I don't know what to do with my hands. So as I prepare for that glorious October moment where I probably have some sort of quarter life crisis, I'm pretty much just taking it easy, right? And as far as college goes, boy, that last week of college, holy shit. It's only fitting, you know what I mean? It's only fitting that for my last week of college, I have kind of like a climactic last week. And I mean, hey, I was not disappointed in the climax and excitement that my last week of college presented, except for the fact that it wasn't exactly exciting in the moment. You know what I mean? It was more exciting, or is more exciting in the hindsight. You know what I mean? It makes a good story. And so I'll tell you briefly how that went for me. I had everything done with college. All my classes were finished up. I had everything squared away, all the I's and T's dotted and crossed and whatever. However, there was one final assignment that I had. And this is quite the dreadful assignment. These words might, initiate some sort of physical response from some of you who have been through the same thing. And that is I had to finish my capstone class. Now, I actually don't know if a lot of other colleges call them capstones. There's several different, I think, words to reference this concept, but it's really just your last class, the capstone of your college career, as it were. And this is something I was realizing while preparing a little bit of notes for this life update pod, that some of y'all actually might not even really know what I went to college for, or know much about my college career. Not that my college career is extremely significant to the comic podcast by any means. However, hey, if I'm updating the Chase lore and the New Age Comics lore, then hey, let's throw this information out there for those that are interested. For those that wondered, I was a broadcasting production and philosophy major, double major, as I always specify, because you never want to lose credit for one. Everyone's gonna always say, wait, which one are you? Well, I'm both, okay, bitches. Sorry, I am both. I am both. Philosophy was my first love. Broadcasting production, I guess was my second love. Maybe it's obvious, right? Given my long-winded explanations on everything, that's the philosophy major speaking. And then, of course, the fact that I'm broadcasting to you all from this amateur podcast setup, there's the production side of things. But I love that I'm able to synthesize both, and that now I'm not going to launch into a whole meta-analysis of my educational history, as much as I would love to. But as it related to my last week of college here, I had that one last assignment, and it was the capstone on my philosophy class. I knocked out the broadcasting capstone, super easy, super money. I actually might receive a Hearst Award for it. That's a little something, I won't get into. I don't want to spoil anything, but I did some good journalism, okay? I did some good journalism work, and so I might get a little recognition. We shall see. What I might not get recognition for is this extremely rushed paper that I did. So a couple things too about my college life. One, I've never, and this is amazing, I think a lot of other college students here are going to kind of be astonished by this one. I have never used Adderall to finish an assignment for a class. Isn't that kind of astounding? I know this is kind of commonplace nowadays. In my generation, we're all little druggies, and I never used Adderall. I had friends that had some, and there were definitely nights when I was like, boy, if I could just be focused like a motherfucker right now for the next hour, my life would be so much easier. Now, I never did it. I never got the opportunity or the chance or the wherewithal or whatever. Never used Adderall in college, so that's a personal accolade for me. But I also had never stayed up 24 hours straight to finish homework assignments. I had always caught sleep throughout college, even if it was a little, not that I never had late nights and early mornings, but I had never had a complete, stayed up all night to finish homework, and then you literally don't even go to bed and wake up the next day and do it again. I'd never done that. Until this last final week of college. Holy shit, my philosophy essay was kicking my ass. It sucked. I don't know what it was. I went through so many drafts of this thing, and it was like, Oh, geez. I mean, I'll just wrap it at you really quickly. The thesis for my paper, and this is silly, but y'all might like this considering it's me. The thesis of my paper was the prospects of artificial intelligence. Now, that sounds really highfalutin, and it partially is. Really, what I was getting at is that, all those sci-fi dystopian movies like The Matrix and Blade Runner and all that shit, where robots take over the world and kill everybody. My whole paper was to say that is not plausible, that outcome is just not gonna happen. Now, you might be like, yeah, right, Chase, so it's fiction. Of course it's not gonna happen. Well, here's the thing. I make a philosophical argument that it can't happen. And that is because, and I'm not gonna launch into the whole paper here, but just to give you a sense of what I was writing, I make the metaphysical argument that AI can never attain this thing that we call the conscious experience for several reasons, as I lay out throughout the paper. So that's a bit of what my last week of college has been like. If I seem really well spoken, it's because I've been writing complicated and well-worded essays for the last week and a half. So that has been that. But it's all to say I got that shit turned in. It took me 2 nights of little to no sleep, but I got it. And it means I'm graduated with college. Hell yeah, it's fucking lit. I am so excited about being done with college. Like I said, it is so surreal, and I won't drown much more about the college point, but goddamn, I felt like it was necessary. Allow me to bask in it a little bit, just because, man, I worked hard. I worked hard throughout college. Went there for 5 years, went here for 5 years at University of Nebraska-Lincoln. And yeah, I mean, I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of myself for pushing through. I got my sexy diploma sitting somewhere. I think it's in a bag, but I'll frame it one day. Now, that is all well and good. I graduated college and it's all fine. However, there were some more cliffhangers from the last episode, and that was I said that my radio internship actually had just recently transitioned into a radio job. Now, that was all very exciting, and I remember a couple of you actually commenting saying, hey, congrats on that, which, Donka, I really appreciate all the very kind words that I received from my last ep. More on that later. But as far as the radio thing goes, it was also quite the journey. So just another brief little recap for the Chase lore fans, for those that are interested in the lore of what's going on over here. I started my internship at a radio station in my college town, which I won't say what station it is just for the sake of privacy, but I started my internship there. Oh my God, it was before I actually started the podcast. It was last summer. Yeah, last July, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, last July. And wow, my radio career has already been really like crazy. And that's kind of the joke about radio, is that like you hear a couple things on your first day in radio. Okay, I'll share these with you guys. So literally on my first day of my internship, I walk in and I meet the host of the show that I'm going to be working with. I won't say his name. I almost said his name. I won't say his name, but the first thing he told me, he said, Chase, let me tell you something. One, there's no money in radio, which I'm like, oh, yikes. Not the first thing you want to hear when you walk through the door. I later learned that he's being facetious, but there's some degree of truth to what he's saying. There's less money in radio than people would think. I think that's what he meant to say. And the next thing he said, and this is something I've heard echoed and echoed and echoed every time I'm with radio people, and it's that you haven't worked in radio until you've been fired a few times. Which is, again, not the thing you want to hear when you start your career. You don't want to hear, boy, you're expendable. Yeah, you don't want to hear that. Alas, I've heard it, and it's just one of those things that if you love the game and you want to work in radio, you gotta deal with it. And I'll say this, successful radio personalities and DJs, boy, do they deal with it. I swear to you, most DJs, disc jockeys, radio personalities that are big, they have been fired many times, or they have some wild history as to how they got their job. Because it's a weird industry. Now, like I said, this was quite the journey. I had been working as an intern since last July, and the guy who was hosting the show I was working under got fired because the ratings were so bad, but they kept me around. And then I ended up meeting this new guy who started hosting the show, which I mean, Jesus Christ, if you want to talk about like forks in the road in terms of your life, I mean, this was one of them for me, because I swear to you, I met the guy who was hosting the new show. His name is D. He has become a very close friend of mine. And not only that, he's kind of become a mentor of mine. But the thing is, I met D, and me and D just kind of hit it off. And we just, I don't know, we just really fucking got to work. And he really thinks that I belong in radio. Clearly he belongs in radio, because you guys should just hear him. He's a wizard. He's a fucking wizard with this broadcasting shit. Like, it's insane. But he really has encouraged me to keep pushing. Now, this is getting really all over the place. I'm telling this like long story arc here, but it all leads up to this one particular event. So D and me are just kind of kicking it at this radio station. We're just doing our thing in the morning show, and we basically have no boss. This gets into the kind of the politics of radio, but we have no boss at the moment. We're just kind of two personalities doing our things, and we get a new boss. This new boss, he kind of just tells me, "Hey Chase, I'm not sure if this radio thing is cut out for you," and that was a pretty big like, ow, you know what I mean? Like, it sucks. I'm interning somewhere forever. I actually just like at the time of that, I had just been hired as a part-timer. So I was no longer an intern anymore. I was now a part-timer, but then I'm being told that maybe radio is not for me, which sucks. You know, that really sucked. And I was dealing with that for a minute. And I'm kind of sketching out the highs and lows here. But point is, D did not agree with the fact that he did not agree that I wasn't cut out for radio. So me and him had some personal training sessions, and boom, I impressed my boss, I guess we could say that. And it all really leads up to the fact that I had my very first on-air shift by myself this last week. So that's really exciting. Now, I'm not gonna cheer and scream and shout like I did for graduation, because it wasn't exactly as long a build-up. But you guys won't believe this. If you want to talk about serendipity, it's not something I've ever really ascribed to a lot in life. My life has never felt very serendipitous. But there is something serendipitous going on right now, because I ended up recording my first air session. So my first session that's going to be broadcast out live. And that's just me on the air, just Chase. And it actually it airs for its first time at the exact same moment that I graduated college. I'm not even kidding you. I went on at 10 a.m. on a Saturday, and on that very Saturday, I graduated college at 10 a.m. Can you fucking believe that? That is when the ceremony started, and that is when my first on-air shift went out. So needless to say, that was a really, really, really big day for me. I graduated college, and my very first on-air shift was broadcast live. Now, the irony, the terrible irony is I didn't get to listen to any of it because I was obviously graduating. So while that's an unfortunate part of that story, you know, it's still amazing. I'm not upset at all. I am kind of shocked at my own progress as far as it goes. And, you know, I hear a lot of people, like everyone's very nice. It's a weird thing to say in a vacuum, but everyone's very nice and always tells me, "Oh my gosh, Chase, you seem like you're built for radio." You know, everyone tells me that. And while I guess I kind of know it, maybe a little deep down, maybe it's just that part of you that is the self-doubt in me. But I'm always just like, really? You know, like some part of me just never felt like I had anything to say, you know? And I mean, that's definitely the self-doubt a little bit, because everyone has something to say, right? But I mean, I guess it feels really good to get like validated in some ways, you know, to get on the air. And I guess the fact that I earned it, you know, that feels really good. And it goes hand in hand with graduation. You know, that was something that no one helped me out with. Like, no one helped me do homework all those nights. And so it's like I earned it. And yeah, I mean, that was just some great shit. Just some great shit that was happening the last few days. So I don't know. Again, I don't want to come off here like, oh man, let me flex how awesome my life has been. But you know, it's some good news, and I left you guys on some bad news. And so I wanted to come back and just be like, hey guys, things kind of turned up a bit. And another funny anecdote, and I mentioned D earlier, and I wanted to bring this up too, just for some more like New Age Comics lore, right? Just the lore of the podcast, because I mentioned in the last hiatus episode, just a little couple tidbits about the lore of the pod. And I realized, hey, I've never told anybody some of these stories. Well, D was actually the one who really pushed me to start it. So to that, like, I owe him a lot. I had the idea for New Age Comics forever, and I told him about it one day just because he had mentioned like, oh yeah, start new projects, blah 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 blah. And I just mentioned like, yo, I've been thinking about doing a comic book podcast for a long time. And I swear to you, like, D was just like, dude, start it. Like today. He wanted me to go home and record. Now, it didn't go down like that. I had to do a lot of planning, a lot of production, pre-production, and all the whole nine. But I mean, I have to give D the credit for being that fire, you know? Like, obviously, I kept the gasoline pouring on myself, but like D was the match, you know what I mean? So to some sense, like, I owe D so much, and D doesn't listen to the pod. He's not a comics guy, so, but I'll say this just in case he is. D, I love you. You're amazing, and I owe you a lot. That's as far as college and the radio go. Like, those are those. We can kind of square them away. Now, there are a couple other things, of course, that I wanted to give just some general life updates on, and especially from the cliffhanger side of things. I mentioned that I was going through, and I quote, some aforementioned fucked up shit. in the hiatus ep, I said, you know what, guys, I'm just going through some fucked up shit right now. Now, at the time, that fucked up shit was like in its height, you know what I'm saying? So I was very much not comfortable giving the like personal details of it all, and it just wouldn't be appropriate, you know? Not that I'm about to do that, but I wanted to give you guys a little more information on what that even means, because I really just said some fucked up shit. That could mean anything. I could have just, you know, stubbed my toe that morning. That's some fucked up shit, right? But no, really, I figured I'd just give some general information on it. I'm not gonna be super descriptive or anything, so no names, no shit like that or anything, but in honesty, I am going through a breakup. Yep, that is the case. And hey, maybe some of y'all even assumed that out there, right? Like, okay, young college guy, what has he got to complain about? Well, you can imagine it's the girls. I've always had the affinity for girls. And so, of course, they have brought me some low points in life, I guess you'd say. And now that sounds shitty, but all I'm saying is I am going through a breakup. And, you know, it fucking sucks. It fucking sucks. I'm pretty sure I mentioned my ex-girlfriend here on the pod just every now and then. She was a little instrumental for me starting the pod too. She wanted me to start it and encouraged me to start it and helped me out a lot with it. So yeah, it fucking sucks. Going through a breakup is never fun. Now, yeah, so some other people made my breakup situation even worse, and in turn made my life really, really stressful there for a second. And that's even part of the story as to what actually led me to quit or to go on hiatus. And that was the fact that I was working on the next episode of the podcast, and then all of this extra exacerbation occurred. And that was really the point when I was like, I can't even like keep up. Like, I can't even think about podcasting. I can't even think about getting on the mic here and pretending to be, you know, happy and funny and all of that. I couldn't do it. And so that was kind of the significant thing. So I wanted to give just some explanation on that fucked up shit that I was going through. Still going on. I'm handling it a lot better now. And, you know, it is what it is. I'm moving on. Slowly but surely, everything gets better. You know, I don't want to be the nihilist, I guess, here, but I also don't want to be like the bullshit optimist, you know? And I will say I'm probably a bullshit optimist when it comes to life in general. Definitely not a pessimist. I am very optimistic, but I mean, obviously optimism can be foolhardy. And I'm not trying to give that to you guys. I don't want to fake and be lying up here. But I'll say, you know, shit's getting better. Slowly but surely, but shit's getting better. And that's pretty much where that's at. Now, all that personal bullshit out of the way, let's get to what we wanted to talk about, and that is comics. What has my comic situation looked like the last month here? Boy, I'll be real with you, Chief. I have not been reading comics. I'm sorry. I just haven't had the time. You guys know I was in such a whirlwind from the podcast and from school and from all this fucked up shit going on that I was just like, you know what? I need some time just to relax. So, alas, I have actually not read a single new comic book in 6 weeks. Yikes. I bite my knuckle as I say that, because that is a long time. For someone who was running a comic book podcast who talked about every new comic every week, sometimes within days of them dropping, it's wild to think that I haven't read any new comics in 6 months, or Jesus, not 6 months, 6 weeks. So for reference, comics are so in one ear and out the other these days. I think 6 weeks ago was when the first issue of Geiger dropped, if you guys know that Image book. And the only reason I remember that is because I remember that's the comic that was sitting on top of the pile for so long. It was Geiger, because I was really excited to read Geiger. So I haven't even read Geiger yet. I'm about 6 weeks behind on comics. It is what it is. Not to say that I've read nothing over the last month. I have read a little. Okay. I have been doing a lot of school and radio and stuff like that. But I read a little. I read some Exo Manowar, read a little bit of Valiant. That was awesome. This is some interesting shit. I read All-Star Superman for the first time. I had constantly been recommended that book left and right. You guys all know it's kind of one of those Morrison classics. And boy, I really loved it. I thought All-Star Superman was great. Just another book under my Morrison love belt, because goddamn, he's such a weird writer. It's great. And then lastly, I started Bitch Planet. And maybe you guys have heard of that one. That's an Image book. God, I really like it. I was actually recommended to it from a friend of mine it's weird. She was reading comics, not some comics, but she was given a couple graphic novels to read for a class that she was in. And she mentioned oh, you like comics, right? And I told her oh yeah, I do. And that's when she was like, have you read Bitch Planet or heard of Bitch Planet? And I had heard of Bitch Planet, but I'd never read it. And one day she brought me the trade. And so that was kind of a cute thing that became the first time I read Bitch Planet. And I really liked it. I bought the second volume and I bought the triple feature. So you know me, I have to just get all the lore. The point is, I've been reading a few comics here and there, still enjoying myself, but definitely not caught up on everything. So there are comics that you guys are probably discussing and talking about that I haven't even thought of or whatever. There's comic news and shit that I haven't even gotten into and dug my teeth into. So I'm really out of the game. But I'm hopping on the bandwagon this week. Hopefully, I swear that I hope. I'm pretty sure I'll have some time later this week to read some comics. And when that's the case, I'm gonna read some motherfucking comics. That's what's up. That is what it is. It's good. Yeah, it's gonna just start from that week that I left off. So, hey, hopefully I hop back on the Twitter and hop back on, whatever, just with my thoughts on it. So, lastly, okay, I had 5 points to talk about in this life update. And the last thing is, of course, if not the biggest elephant in the room, this podcast. Now, I've commented here and there on the state of the podcast, but here is a formal update. Obviously, I am not caught up. Obviously, as I just said, I am not caught up on the podcast. So, if anyone's wondering, hey, does this mean you're back? I'm sorry, my friends. It does not mean that I'm back. I still have to catch up. But, I'm still coming back. Do not get me wrong. I am still coming back, I think. And the only reason I say I think is because I think it's going to be a little different. Now, what does that mean? I'm not sure. Frankly, I couldn't tell you at this point. But I'm thinking of coming back slightly differently. And what that means is I'm thinking of reformatting the podcast. Any really long time listeners are gonna know of a couple reformattings that I did. I did a few of them over the few months that I did the pod, just kind of trying things out, seeing what works. And I guess that's really what it's going to be too. I'm going to be trying out something new, trying out something just to see if it works. It's basically going to be, I don't want to give it away, but it's going to be a change in like the volume of podcasts that I produce a week. Now, I can leave that there. But that's just an idea, just some ideas. I'm kicking ideas around about the pod. And that is kind of it. That is kind of it. Now, I tried to give myself like a whole list of things to talk about here. I walked into the hiatus episode pretty much bare bones. I had no script for that. And so I came with some script here, and I just walked through it all. And I mean, that's really all there is I have to say. You know, I almost like, I feel this like weird, like I don't want to leave the mic, right? Because it's like another goodbye. Because unfortunately, this isn't a welcome back episode for me. This is, again, a life update episode. I just wanted to, you know, I guess I'll say this in my final words here. I was like totally blown away and shocked by the reaction to me going on hiatus. Like I hear, you know, celebrities mention like, wow, I just could not believe the reaction and the support that I got. And to some extent, I was always like, yeah, whatever. Like you expected the support. Come on, you knew you had fans. But I mean, it really hits different when I guess you don't know that you have fans. And that's not to insult any of you out there, because I know that there's people out there that listen. But when you're a small content creator like I am, like, I mean, you wonder, you know, you definitely wonder. And it's not rather just you wonder like, oh, am I going to get 20 views on this video or not? You wonder like, I mean, are these views like real views? Like, are people just clicking out and leaving, right? Or am I making fans? Like, do people actually care? Are people actually listening to all the words that I say? And when I announced that I was going on hiatus on Twitter and formally through the podcast, like guys, I was like almost moved to tears by some of the things you guys said to me. And like, that's something I'll like never forget. Like, seriously, like I swear to you, I replied to everybody, but I want to like, I guess just say again, like some of the things that you guys said to me were so beyond what I thought I deserved, I guess. And that's such a harsh way to put it, but I didn't think that, and it sounds weird, but it's like, I didn't think people cared, you know? Like, I didn't think people were listening. And it sucks. Like, now I know. Now I know people were listening, and I guess it was like a good reminder, but a reminder that I needed. You know what I mean? So the fact that so many of you out there like just were so kind to me, like so many of you told me you understood what I'm going through and even offered me advice, and nobody was mean or anything. Nobody, of course no one would be, but like, you know, no one had to be nice. You know, no one had to be understanding. And I swear, when people said like, we'll be waiting for you to come back, I swear, like that shit would choke me up like in an instant. Just the fact that people wanted to hear what I have to say. I don't know. It's just nuts. I mean, it's something that like a small content creator like myself is like, can only dream of, you know? So thank you guys. Like, for everybody that reached out to me and said something, like, seriously, I could rattle some of y'all's names off because it's just, I remember it so vividly, you know, and I like the words you guys said, like, actually meant a lot to me. So I don't know, maybe take that as like, if you think some of the things you say to content creators that you follow, like, are kind of, you know, in one ear and out the other, to them, they're not. Like, they read them, I read them, and I'm a real person. So to me, that shit meant a lot. It meant a fucking lot to me. So thank you guys. Like, I seriously can't thank you enough. And I mean, the reaction, the warm reaction I got to the hiatus episode is the whole reason I'm here giving you a life update episode, because it made me think like people care. Maybe people will be curious. I don't know. I don't want to be presumptuous, right? Like, oh, all of a sudden people give a huge fuck about what I'm doing. And maybe that's the like Nebraska humility in me that just won't die. But I don't know. I guess I won't back and forth explain myself more, but I wanted to just come here and explain how I've been doing, and I guess offer good news that it's been good. Like, I've been doing better. So I don't know. it's some good news, I guess. But in general, just wanted to give a life update for those out there. I mentioned on my college and the radio and all the stuff going on and the comics and the podcast, but you know, just thought I'd give you some bullet points on what Chase is up to, what New Age Comics is up to. And like I said, I'm coming back. I'm still coming back, trust me. It's just gonna be different. So I guess thanks you all for your patience, and maybe this can be a little bit of thing to tie you over. I mean, again, another little sign off. I don't know when it'll be the next time you guys hear from me. Hopefully it's not too long. Maybe it'll be in just another month. Hell, if I go another whole month and I'm not even thinking about podcasting, you know, or I'm not ready yet, I'll throw out another life update just to show you what's up. But anyway, thank you for everybody who's listening. Maybe there'll be new people who are listening, and if that's the case, I don't know why you'd be listening. But you know, for all those that are gonna check this out, just to be like, what the hell is this dude up to? This is what the hell I'm up to. And you know, I'm still thinking about you guys, and I miss y'all. I miss everybody, and I miss doing the podcast so dearly. Man, it was a lot of fun. So I guess thanks for everybody who listened to this and listened to the podcast ever. Thank you guys. Again, I wish I could be here with some more comic reviews right now, but I'm not. And I'm just here with just some life shit. So yeah, there's nothing more to say, but I will catch you guys in the next episode, whenever that is. And hey, until next time then.